Hello and welcome to the Student Council Podcast, an educational advice show made for students and by students, where everyone is qualified to talk about their own experiences. My name is Carter Dvorak, and today I am joined by an incredibly talented guest. He's a writer, he's a U of M student, he's an improviser. He is Aden Flora. Aden, thank you for coming on the show today.
It's great to be here. Thank you, Carter.
Dude, I am so excited. To kick things off, what have been your favorite 5 minutes of the past week?
Ooh, the past week, my favorite 5 minutes would have to be improv rehearsal this past Sunday. A friend of mine named James was playing a manatee and I was playing a boat propeller. So automatically there was some crazy tension between the two of us. Really fun.
Amazing. Did anything happen? Like, did the boat propeller hurt the manatee, or was it just like they just vibed, or?
It was a game of cat and mouse that kind of turned into like a philosophical debate, because I had to internally think about myself personified as a boat propeller and the ethics surrounding tearing apart my friend the manatee's skin, right? Because you know, that's quite a lot of conflict.
That's a lot to like mentally go through. That's a lot psychologically to process. Is that a one-off scene that we'll never see again, or is that like for like a skit or something upcoming, or what?
This unfortunately was just us kind of messing around at rehearsal. Although delving into those kind of more morbid topics does happen to arise at midnight book club rehearsals. So, you know, I'm sure if you come to the show on Friday, something very reminiscent will appear.
The kids' table. I am looking forward to it, Aden. I'm excited. Now, let's just jump into your whole college experience, and I want to get to midnight book club especially, but like, what's been your college vibes, Aden? What got you to University of Michigan? I want to ask, as an Ohioan, how do you feel crossing the line to coming to U of M? But like, what's that whole journey been like for you?
The journey's been an interesting one, believe it or not. In high school, I wasn't the best academic, and that was something that really worried me about kind of a behemoth like Michigan applying to it. Outside of the rivalry itself between Ohio State and Michigan, there just wasn't, there weren't too many kids that got into Michigan from high school. But I was always a performer. So I knew Michigan had a tremendous school of music, theater, and dance, and I put my best foot forward, focused on my voice, studied classical music for my sophomore, junior, and senior years of high school, and auditioned during the COVID era over Zoom. And it was an interesting experience. I had to kind of compile a little bit of a portfolio, but to my surprise, I was let in. They accepted me into the program. There was about, I want to say, 12 students in our class that were that joined the voice program, and then like 8 or 9 that were I think it's like teaching vocals. I'm not exactly sure what their degree is called, but we had all been put into that department.
Wow, that's really cool. Like, dude, I cannot imagine like auditioning during the COVID era. Like, how did you even get past like internet, Zoom, like recording logistics, just like sound wise?
There was like a very like widely accepted methodology to it, especially over Zoom. You know, there in the upper left hand corner, there's the original sound for musicians on or off category. I'm messing around with those little settings, like audio portions, making sure you were like plugged into the Ethernet. All of these things were essential if you wanted your audition to go the right way. Ultimately, I had actually gone to a vocal summer camp the summer before, and I got to make some connections there that also helped me kind of find out more about the process.
That's awesome. And like, I don't think I realized are you primarily voice major? Are you dual degree voice and film, or do you just enjoy like the film stuff on the side?
I was originally voice, and so I got up until I want to say like a fourth of the way through my degree, and kind of satisfied the general like musicianship I don't know how you would call them, like degree requirements. So I was taking courses like music ethnography and music theory, piano performance, vocal performance. I was in studios, but I wasn't in love with it. It was just something that I knew I was pretty good at, and I wanted to go to Michigan and check it out, see where it would take me. And then I took a intro to playwriting class through the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. And I met this kid named Ben Servitov, and he was legitimately one of the just most brilliant, witty, helpful, just like a great mentor to me. And I really was, I didn't know him for too long before he had graduated, but he suggested I check out the film, television, and media degree, which I had no idea it existed when I came to Michigan, like no clue. So he kind of put me on a path where I really started to discover like, oh my gosh, there are so many avenues here, and I should have probably done a little bit more research beforehand. But yeah, after that, I immediately just transferred all of my credits from my music major because they were general musicianship requirements into a musical minor track, and then took a university choir course to satisfy that. I was also in men's glee, which satisfied another credit. And then I completely transferred into LSA, and I've been on the screenwriting sub-major track ever since.
Wow. When was Ever Since? Was that like second semester sophomore year for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a transition. I was, yeah, second semester sophomore year.
That's so cool. I didn't realize you and Ben Servitot had a prior connection, but that's really fun.
Yeah, no, he's great.
I'm excited to meet the man. Were you involved with I Need to Be Held at all then?
I would say I was involved in the way that I was maybe one of their number one fans. I didn't actually contribute to any of the writing, the acting, or editing or production side of things. But I was the first one to like those YouTube videos when they were coming out. First one to comment, and just really, I have their merchandise and everything. Actually, I've got their sweatshirt.
Wait, no
right?
way.
Yeah,
That's such a good sweatshirt.
No, let me try and see if I can show the graphic a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
symbolism and stuff. Yeah, phenomenal group, really fun.
Really, really fun. Yeah, I like stumbled into the premiere of that show like by almost by accident. Like I didn't know what it was, but I walked in the room. It was like a friend's birthday, but we knew it was something, and it was definitely really funny. And like just the caliber of doing that as like a bunch of college students is really impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So much organization you need in order to make making a singular skit really does take a lot of time out of your life. But making a series, that's something I can't even fathom right now. All the work.
Yeah, I know you're in the midst of skit producing right now. But I want to circle back to Michigan just a little bit more here, and like, so you've had POV in LSA, you've had POV in SMTD. Like, what were just the vibes of those schools? Like, for somebody who maybe isn't as familiar with Michigan, like, what is the general U of M vibe, and especially in those like film circles and those artist and performance circles, like vibe check?
That's a phenomenal question, because the School of Music, Theater, and Dance is, from my perspective, just like a collection of smaller cohorts that all form one larger cohort. So, and there was a little bit, and this might just be my opinion, so take this as like with a grain of salt, but there was almost a little bit of a hierarchy. Now Michigan has like a phenomenal musical theater department, like insane, probably the best in the nation. Everybody wants to be in it, like it's a big deal. But they've also got like amazing, phenomenal programs that you don't even really hear about outside of the school itself. Like the oboe program is one of the best oboe performance programs in the world. I honestly, you could kind of say that about any of the instruments. But I specifically remember I was friends with an oboe who got me like all the way through music theory. She was the best. But yeah, the oboe program is phenomenal. The voice program is really like, it was at high prestige as well. And there's great the performance arts technology, like really well done. But there is, I would say, a distinct culture between the like musical performance majors and the more theatrical performance majors. So what I observed as a voice musician, and this was the first day I was in a musical theory class, I walked inside and I saw this guy with a saxophone, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna compliment him. So I walked up to him and I was like, yo, man, 6 sax. And he looked at me, and then he looked at his friend who's standing right beside him. He goes, huh. And then the friend looks back at him. He goes, alto or tenor? And they're like, oh, and they took their seats, and I was like, what the heck? Like,
What was that?
I didn't know what it meant, but I think
I have no idea like what that means.
Right. And I think that was what made them laugh, is because they knew I didn't. Because I was a voice major. Because, I'm not as responsible for knowing to interest like the different types of saxophones. Whereas I guess it's kind of more common knowledge for someone to know like a a tenor, alto, bass, baritone voice type. Yeah, at least that's what I perceived. Really, really funny, kind of like almost stereotypical, like I'm a musician and I know what I'm doing sort of caliber. Now those instances didn't happen all the time, but there was very common that was very common in the performance, the music performance half, the theatrical performance. I've worked with so many actors and acting majors and directing majors, drama majors, a couple musical theater majors, all lovely. Really, all of them. They're super busy. You know, these Bachelor of
Yeah.
Fine Arts degrees are no joke. In both musical performance and theatrical performance, but it is interesting to see the kind of shows they put on because they similar to a lot of the film majors, they do a lot of like student run organized performances like UM Roods, Musket, just to name a few. They're huge. They're huge.
They're ginormous, and they're like incredible quality and caliber too. Like especially like I haven't seen other shows other than Musket, but like I don't think I knew Musket was student run my entire first year. I was just like this is professional. This is incredibly well done. Like one of my best friends like worked at Musket like last semester, and I still don't think I put it together. It was full student run, but like those shows were absolutely incredible, and like I think it's just amazing. Like and similar, I think for stuff like the film orgs and a lot of different orgs, like these students are doing like professional grade skills and practices and things, and I think that's just so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think I'm excited. Let's circle back around to Midnight Book Club. Like what is Midnight Book Club first of all, and like what got you into improv?
Okay, so this is funny because this brings me back to my intro to playwriting course. I genuinely feel like this course set me on a different path. Because the amount of talent in an intro to playwriting course was kind of unreal. I was lumped in with a bunch of senior students at the time who are now graduated. One was Ben Servitaw, but there was also Paul Leaglet and Miles Elliott. And these two guys were a duo, okay? Like in terms of Midnight Book Club history, alumni, these two guys were the deal on the improv scene. And like, if you're not into improv, you probably don't really know what's going on in the Michigan improv scene. But if you are, they're the names. And they were both in my class. Now, at the time, I did not know that. Like, I wasn't in the improv scene. But working with them through the intro to playwriting course, I kind of started to realize, wow, these guys are really talented. I'd love to work with them. I find out they're in an improv group. I'd never really done improv before. I did it for a slight moment in high school before I got kicked off the team. It's a different story though. And I tried out. I tried out last year. I did not get on the team. I was really sad because I made it to callbacks, but I didn't make it all the way through. But you know what? That just means you try again next year. That's exactly what I did, and now I'm a part of it. Unfortunately, they both graduated since, but I'm carrying the torch they left behind with pride.
With a lot of pride, because you followed their legacies, you followed Ben Servitaw's legacy. Like that was a really big and influential class for you, and like it's cool that you're kind of picking up the torches in those roles. And like I definitely see you being like one of the guys in those spheres, Aden. So that's awesome. Yeah,
You flatter me.
of course, of course. Can I ask about the high school improv team, or is that a story we can share?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, it was called Whose Lion Is It Anyways?
Very nice.
I don't remember too much about it. But it was led by a tremendous guy. His name was Dodie McDowell. And I just like, you say certain things on stage when your mind is running around. And I think I might have just said a couple things that I shouldn't have in the heat of the moment that I thought was funny, wasn't funny. Nothing politically incorrect, more along the lines of cuss words that weren't palpable for a family audience. So no backlash in like a moral sense, but certainly I guess it's a little immoral to be swearing like a sailor in front of little kids, but
Yeah.
I've learned to avoid or at least change my maturity level depending on the audience.
That's a good skill to have. And like yeah, it's nothing cancelable, but it might wind you up talking to the principal for like a little bit. Or a little chat. I could see that, but that's interesting. I mean, that feels almost kind of like, and a little bit almost like a badass story too, though. It's like you can have that little patch on your shoulder, like yeah, I got kicked out of my last group. Like I think there's something there, like a bit of like Aden Flora, the rebel without a cause, or something like that.
I love that. I love that one.
They can't keep him caged. I don't know any inspiration, but
They had to put a brown paper bag over my head.
drag you out of the school. You like, yeah, you wake up and you're like, I need to get back at those people, and that's what it's all rooted towards. But
Oh,
maybe
it's a revenge story.
you like Pretty Woman your high school, like you come back like 20 years later.
I'm rocking with this. I'm rocking, this is what happens now after
Yeah,
school, after college. I head to Second City.
yeah,
I head straight there. I try out, make it. After I make
easy.
it, go back to the high school and I show them the man I've become.
Yeah, when you're hosting SNL and your principal's in the audience, it's like I see a beautiful future for you here.
Wow, that is quite the fantasy. That's funny. Yeah.
That's amazing. Can we talk about a bit about Men's Glee? I'm curious about what your time. We both just saw a Men's Glee concert together last
Mhm.
weekend, but like, what was your POV in Men's Glee? How was that? And like, even seeing it from instead of being on stage performing, but like seeing it from the balcony or the mezzanine, what did that look like?
Oh, really? One of the most well organized and I would say in general like healthy clubs on campus. If I could like for just like the average like don't know what you want to do, you're not necessarily like too artistic or too creative or like maybe you're like really smart. Like not to say that these guys aren't, but I'm saying this is an outlet for so many people from so many different walks of life to come together and produce something like so above what a singular person can. There were so many there were voice majors in Men's Glee. There were like so many engineering majors, computer science, physics, like pretty much any major you could name, and at least one would be in Men's Glee. Men's Glee was one of the most diverse groups I have been in terms of major or minor at the school. And it is really not only a great like connection based organization and creative art, but it's also just like a really healthy group of guys. Like they always want what's best for you. And I wish I didn't necessarily leave Men's Glee. I guess technically I still get their emails, but unfortunately I just don't have the time. I have to do some other stuff with improv and filmic. So unfortunately, I'm no longer a part, like an active member of the org, but they're great.
Yeah,
They're all.
it lives with you in your heart, and honestly, that's really refreshing and nice to hear. Like, even we talked a little bit about some of the hierarchies that might kind of find itself in some of those performing areas. I mean, they find themselves in so many different majors, but like, it's nice to hear of a big performing group like that is healthy, that is really supportive and uplifting and really cool. And I think it's awesome that it can draw in so many different majors who like otherwise wouldn't have that opportunity, and maybe outside of college might not have that opportunity again to like participate like that. I think it's such a great opportunity.
Mhm.
I think it's time to dive into a little bit of filmic stuff. Was filmic exposure through Ben Servita? Had you known prior to that? Like, what was your journey with that club?
So Filmic is really funny because I was in Imagination last year as a writer director, and I had heard whispers. I had heard whispers of the organization, and you'd hear all sorts of weird things. Filmic's a cult. Oh, you got everyone if you just want to be one of them. Oh no, they don't take upperclassmen. Oh no 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 no. Heard all these things from all these different people. So it was kind of a little daunting. It was a little scary. But at the same time, I am one to know when somebody has a lot of haters, they got something going on. All right. They got like a little secret sauce. They got a taste. Okay. And so I had heard little things. I actually went to the rap party for Ben Servita's I Need to Be Held sketch. And I met a Filmic alumni named Sienna Peterson. And she was like, look, dude, this org, Filmic, I'm in it. It is the org. Like, if you want to go into film, if you want to go into marketing, advertising, if you want to be on the creative side of production, like, this is where you go. This is like, we're students who work on big budget productions, like, not messing around, like, still having fun, but like, not messing around. That perfect play hard, work hard mentality, try it out. Like, if you think you have what it takes, go for it. And I was like, well, shit. I was taking a screenwriting class as well with Austin, currently in Filmic, and he was like, yo, man, I don't know if you know about this org Filmic, but I'm in it, and try blind. Like, why not? Just check it out. And I was like, you're a super cool dude, Austin. Like, heck yeah, I will. Like, right on. So decided to apply as a writer. Totally did not anticipate making it on the team. I'm not gonna lie. I had heard many things about, because I'm a junior now, applied as a junior. I'd heard they didn't take upperclassmen, and I kind of had this mentality going into it, like, it's possible, but really unlikely. And here I am, super super excited to be working on stuff already with Filmic.
Dude, it's absolutely incredible, and I'm glad like it's kind of facing the challenge of it, and I love the POV. Like I think it's so smart of like, you know, if there's a bunch of whispers or there's a bunch of takes about an org, like there is something behind that, you know, for better, like they've got the thing, and I think that's really cool, and like you could perceive that, and like yeah, dude, it's been such a great time. I'm really glad we joined the same like kind of class. I cannot wait to do the recruitment video with you. Like I keep, especially I'm just thinking of you and Caroline as like the writing team behind it, plus like all the other minds in like our class. I'm like, this is gonna be one hell of a video.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
No, I'm
Yeah.
so excited. We are a strong. We're a big class and we're strong.
Yeah, because we have like everybody. We've got all the teams like well represented. Yeah, it's such a great team, and it's spread across, you know, first years through juniors. So I think that's really cool too. Like there's a variety of years and majors.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, we
dude,
have super interesting personalities. I'm excited. You know, we worked a bit on the Joe Hurtler video.
yeah,
So most of the people that I know in the org were associated with that. But I'm excited for this video because I can see kind of who I synergize with also outside of that wonderful group of people we worked on the Hurtler video with.
yeah, that's really cool. Like, no, I completely agree. It's gonna be such a good time, and like it was so fun vibing with you on the Joe Hurtler set and working on that project and like all these things. I'm curious, with all these cool orgs that you're a part of, do you just have like some of your favorite memories with like Midnight Book Club and just like just some of the highlights that you've really gleaned from those, and like how do you think they've really impacted your time at college as a whole?
Well, I would say they've made, like, first of all, they've structured my life a lot, which as a
Yeah.
creator, really something I struggle with. I always need my days kind of filled to the max. I always like to say yes to things because I typically do better when I have no other time to complete something. So like deadlines are big, and that's what a club provides in a lot of senses. But also just like the people, you surround yourself with a higher caliber of people and you're going to make better work. That's just how it works. And if you're, you know, competitive, but also humble and fun, you know, you're going to make great memories. Improv is like some of the most or I guess nobody talks about improv in a therapeutic sense, but it is unbelievably therapeutic because you're kind of just letting your mind run wild for an hour and a half with other people, and no one's gonna judge you for what you say. Like and if they do judge you, it's going to be in a positive atmosphere. Like they're going to say what you just came up with was brilliant, and because you just came up with it, you can take pride in the things you've done instantaneously without having to actually work for them. It's just a very rare product. Like most of the time, especially in writing, especially in producing, there's so many things that go into, you know, succeeding in what you've written or what you produced. Like it's just, that's how it is. It takes a lot of time before you get that boost of serotonin. With improv, it's like a cheat code, you know? Oh, you did something bad in improv? Well, you just came up with it. It doesn't matter. You did something good. Oh my God. How did you do that? It's like a total cheat, but it's great. No, I mean,
It's incredible.
I don't know if that answered your question really, but
It totally answered my question. I love seeing improv as almost a layer of therapy, like group therapy, and getting to take other people's ideas. And I think just like yes anding as a concept is a great thing to just employ in life a lot of times. Is sometimes just like taking an idea and running with it can be so cool. And like the instant gratification of throwing an idea out there and it works and it gets a laugh is so cool.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, Aiden, we're going to roll into some of the rapid fire questions here. I mean, take your time with them still, but what is the most impactful piece of advice that somebody's given to you?
Okay. I was watching The Voice one time, and Pharrell Williams was on it, and he said, "Luck favors the prepared." I took that piece of information as like a 12-year-old boy, and I pretty much etched it into my brain.
I love that.
Given. Yes.
I completely agree. I love all the like. I think Ted Lasso is harder the work, the luckier you get. But in the same vein, it's just like I like luck favors the prepared.
Yeah, I mean it's true. Like you know, you're bound. I don't believe in manifestation. All right, I'm not like a spiritual man, but I do believe there is like at least a little bit of like spiritual work that goes on, a little bit of luck associated with a hard work. Maybe that's the Midwest in me. I don't know, but
I think it is the Midwest. I think it's the Midwest in us. Yeah, I'm a big manifestation guy. I think sometimes you have to, I think, believe in it in order for stuff to like. I think that maybe it's not that I believe in manifestation, as I feel like there's a detriment to the lack of manifestation of like if you're actively thinking that this won't happen, then like yeah, it's not going to. But like if you have a little bit of hope that like this can be a thing, I think that it'll kind of set you up better, make you more prepared for that luck.
I like that. That's very, Carter, I'm rocking with that actually. I think that's a very nice thought. It's not that you need to manifest, but really, well, it's not that you need to like manifest everything, but just to a certain degree, you got to have that kernel of belief at the very least, right?
That
And then
it'll grow.
It'll grow.
It'll grow. It's a beautiful thing, Aiden. Now, do you have an ultimate tip for somebody going into college?
Ultimate tip depends on who you are. But if you're someone who's extroverted and really like all about your friends, like I am, don't worry too much about school in that first semester. Find your foundation, find your people. And they don't necessarily have to be into like the same things as you. Sometimes you go to a club and you meet all your friends. Sometimes it's in the dining hall. Who cares? Don't worry about like what people are into, what they're studying. You can meet and learn so many different things about people who are taking different majors, classes. If anything, I'd encourage you to be friends with people outside of your major. But find that foundation, find that family, find the people you feel comfortable around. Because you're kind of gonna not replace your family at school, but you're going to find a family at school, and that family is going to help you when things go south, and they will sometimes, but that's okay. We'll get through it.
That's a beautiful piece of advice. I love, like, I hadn't thought about it like that, but there is almost a little bit of not replacing your family, but, you know, you're jumping out for most people, like, the first time where you're kind of outside of that home base, that home community on your own, like, finding people to kind of, you know, still bring that community element is so valuable. And, like, yeah, the academics will come, so, like, if you can enjoy that first semester freshman year, like, do it, take it, because the classes will get to you eventually.
It's not gonna get any easier, that's for sure.
No, it's not. I don't think I believed it freshman year. I think I heard that and was like, whatever. And now I'm a sophomore and I'm like, everyone was right, everyone else was right. Yeah. We've talked about your kind of coming to Michigan process, but I'm just curious to dive in really into like the expectations of it all. Like, coming to Michigan, what'd you expect? And like, you've kind of had a definitely like an interesting, unique journey, but like, how did that reality compare?
I don't know. I think that's a good question. I expected something different, and what that difference was kind of, you know, the type of college you see in the movies where you're going to like the bar and the parties every weekend, and you're going, and there is plenty of that here. I don't mean that there's not. There certainly is. But there isn't like a lot of the people don't really often talk about kind of the like almost practiced adulthood that's kind of necessary to college. You know, and that goes beyond just like doing the dishes, laundry, normal chores, but like actually like the fun things, you know, like, I don't know, taking a weekend trip up north with a couple of buddies, you know, and just hiking. Like, you know, there's other fun things to do that like maybe when you were stuck at home in white suburbia Ohio, you kind of only thought the escape was like a party fest at school, but no, there's so much more, you know.
There is. I really like that phrasing of it, and like, practice adulthood is really, really interesting, because it does feel that way a lot of times. I think it feels that way. Maybe this is the business in me, but like, you know, when you have to Google Calendar like getting lunch with a friend, like, maybe that sounds sad, but to me, I actually find that a lot of like fun and fulfilling, where it's like I have a lot going on, but I think like, in, you know, what I value a lot is my schedule, because that's like what keeps me going. But like, putting in that time to like have friends, it feels like a very adult mid-40s thing to do, but it is at the same time it's super fulfilling, and then I get to take that time and make sure that like even in these crazy times I can go and have fun with friends.
Right. I like that outlook. It's very positive, and also, you know, at the same time, like, hanging out with your friends should be a little bit of an accomplishment. If you're so busy that you have to schedule like little parts, and like most people are once you get to this point, you know, like where you have to like block out times to maybe like cook a meal with a friend or go out to eat, or like you said, like I don't know, you should be able to check that off your list as like, yeah, I did that today. You know, not only as like that was fun and relaxing and we got stuff done, but also just like a little pat on the back of sorts, you know?
Yeah. I think that I'm butchering the quote. There's a quote from Hank Green in one of his novels, and it's like, productivity is also like, it's, oh my gosh, now it's gone. But it's essentially along the lines that like, being productive is also like doing the things that make you happy. Like, that is also being productive. And I think that's like a good frame, especially for somebody who is focused a lot on like, what does it mean to be productive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many like, I feel like once you get to this point, like, there's so many existential questions you start having, like, oh, you know, you're surrounded by all sorts of people, like you as a business major, I'm sure, you know, all the time there's like there's a lot of discussion about like, oh, you know, what kind of like sect of business do I want to be in? What type of atmosphere do I want to be in? And certainly as a film major, I get a lot like, "Whoa, what are you gonna do with that?" You know? But sometimes you just gotta like be like, "Hey, I know who I am. I know what I'm good at. We're gonna find a way to make money. It will be made in some way. And I know I am smart enough to figure that out. Right now, I'm gonna take a little bit of a load off, you know, like every once in a while, just like actually enjoy my fall break or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree on all fronts with that. Now, Aiden, if you can think back to your time in dorms, what was a dorm room essential item for you?
All right, shower shoes are you need shower shoes. They
Yeah.
have to be there. Kleenexes, like nasal spray, cough drops, you name it, stuff for when you will be sick, you will need. They will not be at Walgreens, CVS, or Target. None of them. They will all be gone. At a big university like this, there is no chance. Like no chance. No chance.
No.
You can have that stuff.
You do, dude, because I can watch it. Like, I remember as a freshman, but now I feel like as a sophomore with like a slightly better immune system, I can watch it happen. I can watch it like one person on the floor gets sick, and then like it slowly spreads to all the other rooms beside them, and I'm like, what is going? Like, it's weird to see it from that POV, but it's true. Like once. Literally, it takes one person going down, and eventually you'll just be like, fourth floor was sick, now it's up to fifth floor, now it's down to third floor, now it's down to this class, now it's in this class. Like, it kind of moves in waves, but you're right. Like, when it moves in waves, everyone's needing everything at the same time. So being prepared. I have my basket of drugs, cough drops, all the Advil, cold and sinus I could ever need in the world is safe and tucked away in my closet for when I need to break it out.
Wonderful. Yeah,
Wonderful.
I mean, it's the lifeline. And like, there's always one point, I feel like for me personally, freshman year, I might even say half the year I was
Oh, yeah.
dead. But like, there's always one point at the beginning of the year. It happened this year to me. It happened sophomore year, at the beginning of the year to me, where I was dead for at least like a week.
Yep.
Catches up with you.
It catches up.
Kills, man.
Yeah. Now, the kind of I think U of M is so unique in the way that it's based in Ann Arbor, which is like a very rich area for food, for arts, for so many different things. In food in particular, do you have a favorite bite of food, favorite restaurant in the area?
Right now, as of late, Potbelly's has been phenomenal. You can't
Okay.
you can't go there at like 1. You can't go there at noon. You can't go there like actually during lunchtime because it's way too packed, especially on like a weekday.
Yeah.
Technically you can, but I don't have time for that.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna wait in the line for like 30 minutes for food because I can't do that.
No.
But like at 4 o'clock after a class ends and it's like the awkward time between lunch and dinner, holy crap, give me Potbelly's. I want it so much. Like, oh.
Yeah. I gotta know what's your order. What's your go-to? Or you switch it up all the time?
My go-to is an original sized Mama's meatball on white bread, with a cup of mac and cheese and a chocolate milkshake. That is me like going all out, like just pigging out. Most of the time
Yeah.
it's only the sub, but if I get my paycheck, then I go a little wild.
That sounds divine. Yeah, that sounds like just like a wonderful meal to have. Like, I remember that too. I feel like, especially when I was sick, that would be usually, I'd be like, okay, I'm ordering everything off the menu now. But like, that sounds like just an incredible experience. Yeah. What's a moment from high school that you still think about?
Wow. What is a moment from high school? I ran with a strange crowd in high school, like really weird. Loved them. But we all lived on the same block. So constantly over at each other's houses. It was almost like we were our own little village. Like
Yeah.
theirs were also my parents. But my favorite memory, this one's hard. And I don't romanticize my high school experience all that much. It wasn't phenomenal. It was just
Right.
it was. I don't know. I wish
That's okay.
Sounds hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed growing up with the people who I grew up with a lot. There's so many moments where we were doing really dumb things, and I was so happy that we were doing those really dumb things, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think that's all it needs to be. I think that's valuable. If you can, when you think back to the people there, which I think is kind of right where I am at. Like, I definitely think back to very specific people and like the experiences I had with them in high school. Like, yeah, I think that's so cool and valuable. I think it's interesting. Like, that feels like out of a movie. Like, everyone's friends on the same block. Like, it feels very like 80s Goonies like style of interactions.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, it was that way. I like that 80s Goonies, totally that vibe.
It's a good vibe. I'm waiting for the day that I'm with all my friends and we find a map to treasure, because then I'll know like I'm waiting for that to happen.
Like, when does that, like, can we like just pick it up already? Like, why isn't
Yeah.
right?
Like somebody will break a statue and they'll find some kind of map to treasure, and like I think this is why, like, this is what made escape rooms into a thing. Is I think everyone who like saw the Goonies and were like, when is this coming for me? Like, when does this happen for everybody?
dude, there's a huge demand. Like
There's a
someone's got
big demand.
to market. Like
Yeah,
what's going on? I think
absolutely.
that's a phenomenal hypothesis. I think that's definitely where escape rooms originated, really.
It feels like it. It feels like that would just fit as the origins. Now, I want to dive a bit into your music, Aiden. I want to ask you what songs you put on a school survival playlist.
Oh, right now, I listen to music in correlation with the projects I'm working on. So music's really important for me when I'm writing. So I've been listening to a lot of early Taylor Swift, a lot of The Fray, a lot of The Script, some Train, early 2000s white people music.
Yeah.
That's what I've been listening to.
Right, listening to music from an artist called The Script when you're a writer just feels like it fits. Like, it feels like that was meant to happen.
I never thought about it like that, but wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that
Mind blown. Is there any one song though? Can you think of any, like, if you had to pick out of all the early 2000s white people music, like the definitive piece?
yeah, I'll say Love Story by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Love Story by Taylor Swift, but an honorable mention to Cable Car by The Fray.
By The Fray. I love it. Those seem, I have not heard I don't know The Fray. So I'll have to put The Fray and Scripts and them all on my list of too many musical artists to count.
Well, The Fray is like, like lost and insecure. You found me. You found me. You know that song?
Yo, I think it's yeah. I think I can picture that. I think I can picture it.
Okay.
Found it. Yeah. Okay. There's so many artists like that too. That was my reaction to Bleachers when like somebody said them, like, I don't know who that is, and I'm like, oh, of course I know who this person is. Like, you just know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Aiden, this is the final question of the interview. Thank you so much for chatting with me. What would you tell your freshman self in high school and your freshman self in college?
Freshman self in high school, I would say, stop complaining about how short you are. It won't make you taller. Have a little confidence. And first year of college, Aiden, I would just tell him, get out of your dorm room. I spent a lot of time watching essays, like YouTube essays about different movies I liked. But there are so many opportunities. If I could spend an extra year in Filmic or in Improv or Men's Glee, I totally would have. But as a freshman, I was a little too cooped up in my old habits of high school, boring Midwest life, knowing nothing but YouTube. So go out, do things. You will not regret it. You will have a much more interesting life, more things to write about. And yeah, like these are,
Yeah, those are good pieces of advice. I think it can be easy to get sucked into the, like, I like how you even noted, like, the high school life kind of carrying over, and it's like realizing, like, okay, what drops, what stays, like, what habits were good, what habits can I modulate now that we're in college, like, all that stuff. Yeah. Wow. Aiden, thank you so much. The last actual question, I have a secret question. Got you. What do you have to plug, share, promote, send the people to?
Midnight Book Club. Book Club is an improv organization here at University of Michigan. They have some phenomenal alumni and current members in terms of wit, intellect, comedy, obviously, and just acting in general. Our shows happen about 4 or 5 times a semester. We've got one on November 10th, and we've got one on December 1st. They're hilarious. And Filmic, obviously, I gotta plug Filmic. Filmic is so fun. Definitely, like, it's an advertising agency. It's fun, but it's not funny. It is funny, but it's not funny in the sense where it's like, well, we are taking ourselves seriously. It's great to be a part of. So many talented individuals, so many great connections I've made to that club. And quite frankly, I can't wait to be a part of it for even longer. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be such a good time. I completely agree. Dude, I cannot wait to go to a Midnight Book Club show and to make more stuff with you in Filmic. It's going to be the coolest time in the world. So, Aiden, thank you for coming on the show today. I really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I know I blabbled on a little bit at those first questions, but
it's perfect. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see your shows. I can't wait for your Pretty Woman moments with your high school improv group. Like, I really had a good time chatting. Yeah.
Me too.
Well, listener, I appreciate you hanging out with us as well. I hope you had a good time listening to everything. This has been another episode of Student Council. I have been Carter Dvorak. That over there has been Aden Flora. Aiden, do you have any other final words before we head out of here?
Thanks a bunch,
Aiden. If you want to find us, our Instagram is @StucoPod. Our email is StucoPod@gmail.com. Wishing you the best of luck and the best of times in all of your educational endeavors. Go Blue. The Student Council is adjourned.